just about ready to be live? Oh, I can't tell now because you've changed that box. So I'll take it Anil's word for it that we're live. So I'll try to act that way. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Marijuana Man. This is From Under the Influence here on Wednesday in Vancouver, where I'm under the influence and have been for quite some time. There's fucking huge truck noises out there today. So, luckily enough, in a more quiet setting, I have Mr. Cookies joining us again.
Hey everyone, I'm over here just motorboating along with the motorboat action. We call it land fishing.
Sorry, I was totally distracted by the cement mixer.
They're loud, those things.
Oh yeah. You don't seem to care. But you have your own engine. Right beside.
She's quiet though, yeah.
Very quiet, yes. So you're just trolling along today throughout the show?
Yeah. See what kind of weed fish we can catch today. Oh, a log. Caught a log.
Well, I don't know. As far as the legal industry here in Canada is concerned, we cannabis consumers are the big suckers to be fished for.
Right. Definitely digging off the bottom for those.
Holy cow! They'll do anything. I don't know. It's like just mass fucking greed running amok in this whole thing. But the price of cannabis is in the news a fair bit, right? Now there, I don't know, one article, finally the legal market is responding to the black market pricing. They got $6 grams. You go, wow. Yeah.
But originally their stuff was only worth $4 a gram, so they're still like not doing good.
Well, they've offered it as value brand or whatever the fuck they call it, value pricing, but it's not as good a weed. You go, well, wait a second, what the fuck is that? Well, didn't the value now has gone out the window because it's not very good weed. So, and it's still not fucking below black market pricing to compete with them whatsoever, who will give you good weed at the same price and less.
Yeah, the shitty weed that's being sold legally is the cheap weed on the black market, so it's kind of like, come on now, you still got to bring her down. Like you're trying to compete, it have to be like $1 a gram for the crap, and then you still won't be able to sell it because people only buy a little bit of it. You know, they'll try it out. Oh, that wasn't good.
Well, in the article I read about them trying to compete with the black market, the people who, the producers, were saying things like, well, you know, the value brand is designed to lead the consumer to our more premium brands. Right? You go, well, wait a second. What are you talking about, premium brand? No such thing as premium brand weed. There's only good weed and bad weed, and varying degrees from good to bad. Better than good weed is what you get, right? So premium, there's no such fucking thing. The cheapest weed these people sell should be premium. It should be well grown. It should be good weed. Who the fuck enters into the marketplace with that attitude?
Yeah, it's like selling a car company bringing on like A car that just breaks down all the time, like a brand new car. They're like, well, you know, it could last you like a couple months, could last you like 6 months, but you'll be repairing it. Here you go. Everyone's like, what the fuck? We're not going to buy that car. Yeah, we're going to buy the premium one for a little bit extra that's going to run well. Except that's still not right, because they're still trying to sell, like, it's like they painted that shitty car red and said, oh, now it's premium.
Well, that's another thing. Premium brand doesn't necessarily guarantee, based on their track record, that it's going to be that good a weed, or as good as I can get in the black market, right? So this premium bullshit, and then they make no bones about it, that by them admitting that they have a premium brand as opposed to a value brand would indicate that they, what could it be but better weed? But they are very reluctant, right? Legalization, the problem with it is that prohibition didn't end. It stayed fully in place. So these fucking greedy pirates in the legal industry want to take total advantage of us still. We've been paying fucking premium prices for cannabis since forever. Always. Unrealistic, fabricated prices based on prohibition. The fact that it was illegal. And whoever provided it to me took a risk that I was willing to pay him extra or her extra for. It's simple as that. The only reason that we ever pay what we pay for cannabis today in the black market. It never even appeared to me all these years to be a scenario of what the market could bear either. The black market never jacked up the price like wildly, even though they could. We were a totally captive marketplace. We had no choice but to get it from them, and they still didn't take advantage of it, really. What do you got, a chipmunk?
No. Battery charger.
Huh? Not in a million years would I have guessed that.
I know. But the chipmunk will come back. He gets up on my lap now.
Uh-oh. He'll dive into your face one of these days. I know,
I'm going to freak out. Ah.
You don't have nuts. The moment you don't have a nut, he's fucking going to dive for your throat.
Yeah, jugular probably.
Yeah. Yeah, real quick. Just nip a little bit quick and gone. You bleed out.
He comes back, gets the nuts out of my pocket, and just goes, you bastard. You had nuts the whole time.
Maybe I shouldn't have killed him. Maybe I was too hasty. So what, today I came across a thing on the Twitters. I don't even remember the name of the dispensary, legal dispensary selling weed from Whistler Cannabis Company. It was an eighth of Bubba Kush for $100.
Holy fuck.
Out of the fucking blue on this menu comes Bubba Kush, eighth for $100. You go, wow, like, what in the fuck is going on here? Beyond
like $1,000 an ounce? No.
Well, it's over $12,000 a pound at that price. 12,000. Like, who the fuck?
I thought the 2000s were rough, eh? The 1990s. Thought that was rough times. 3,000, 3,500 a pound.
Yeah. Now, who the fuck does Whistler Cannabis Company think they are? Like, really? Pretty full of themselves to think for any reason any reasonable cannabis consumer is going to fucking pay that much for it. What?
People
It's
will
just
though,
Bubba
because they're
Kush.
idiots. There are guys out there that just want the most expensive stuff, so they'll be like, "Oh, it must be good."
Yeah, but that could only be a handful of people. But really,
They probably only have a handful of grams at that price. No.
when in most of the news today, the discussion is about the price of weed when it comes to the black market, etc. Right? So you, but it's just Bubba Kush. This is what I can't get over. You go, wow, like this is the most average fucking weed there is. It's nice. Bubba Kush is nice. It's not the fucking end anything. It's no different than Master Kush or Pink Kush or fucking any Kush. Come on.
True.
Just
Yeah, I
Kush.
bought some of the red Congolese, or I forget what it was called. It was supposed to be like, the name sounded like the Roberts Creek Congo, but it was not that. It was like kind of like Creek Roberts Congo or some shit. And
Oh, really?
yeah, something
Spinning.
weird like that. I was like, I read it. After I read it, I was like, oh, I said it wrong. I'm like, I was, the words were reversed or sort of. And it was okay, and it still wasn't that expensive. Like, I think it might have been $40 an eighth or something. I forget.
Well, that's pretty expensive. See, there's the problem here with fucking prohibition. What it's done to cannabis beyond a myriad of things. The price. It's jacked up the fucking price here to, and it's happened for so very long that everybody's used to that price now. Right? If you want cannabis, you had to pay that price. You go, well, where's the relief when it comes to legalization to get out from under that financial oppression that we have fucking lived under our whole lives? Is this payback? Yeah, we're going to legalize cannabis, but you're going to pay through the nose for it because you want it. You go, fuck you. I'm a
Yeah,
legal
and then they
consumer.
say you can only grow 4 plants, so we know, like, it's not really worth, like, investing in a setup for 4 plants. You know what I mean? Like you
No.
could set up a little grow, but really, it's like, wow, come on now, like.
Yeah, I need a whole lot more than that. And if you happen to live with somebody, that is reduced to 2 plants. That's all you get. You
And
go,
like,
are
can
you
you keep a
fucking
mother
kidding
plant
me?
or?
Like 2 plants? What the fuck? Does nothing. No, not even worth the time.
Like, yeah, even if you flowered it out and grew it out and trained it out and you got like 2 or 3 pounds out of it, that's still going to take you like 6 months or something. And then that's like, 2 pounds a year or something. Wow, that's not enough. Wow, for some people it might be, I guess. I don't know, but yeah.
So, on the menu
One flavor.
On the menu that I saw this price of $100 for an eighth of Bubba Kush, all the other eighths were listed exactly the same at $56. And you go, well, like, really? Even at $56, that still represents fucking over $7,000 a pound. You go, like, this isn't fucking New York City in the 90s.
Even then, it wasn't that much. It was like 500 an ounce was what they were paying. But yeah, 4,000 a pound there, 5,000.
No, and this was the bottom price. You go, well, what the fuck? $16 a gram, that is. You go, what the fuck? So, this new industry in no way is willing to try to undercut the black market whatsoever. Right?
They're trying to overcut it. Be like, we sell weed for more than the black market.
Yeah. They've taken this approach where they're going to drive the price of cannabis through the fucking roof. And from my point of view as a consumer, we don't deserve this kind of fucking treatment, do we? Like, we're just consumers of cannabis. Why are you doing this? Other than greed. Right? So I don't know. Only a handful of people ever would afford it, but they'll buy it out of a novelty. And if somebody came to me and said, "Well, here, let's smoke some of this Bubba Kush. I just paid $100 for this eighth. Here, want to buy some of this?" Couldn't do it. Like, what the fuck? I'd be embarrassed. But Whistler has no track record to claim good weed. Nothing. They got nothing. And how good could it be? Like, there's just, it couldn't be anything but good. It's either done well or not.
Yeah, it's not like the super duper cron. You're not like, oh wow.
And even if it is, even if it's the best Bubba Kush you've ever fucking seen in your life, it still ain't worth that much money. And it didn't cost them that much to produce it. It didn't cost them any more to produce that than some other swaggy shit that weighed the same.
Swaggy waggy, no, for sure.
Right? The room's too humid. You're still gonna get lots of fucking weed, but they won't be all that good. Right? But it cost you the same. So I don't know. I ran across this webpage of the Rand Corporation for some reason, looking into the actual cost of production of cannabis from all points of view. Indoor, greenhouse, outdoor, fucking took into account every possible thing they could think of in terms. And they really ended up at around $250 a pound at the top. Indoor, fucking everything included down to trimming, I think. I don't know. But reasonably thinking, it's just a plant. How much could it cost to grow it? It doesn't
Yeah,
cost.
it's like they grow a bunch of lettuce and it's a lot of leaves, so it's not like.
I don't know if they hammer the lettuce with artificial light like we do. Do they?
I don't know.
Is there other greenhouses that are slamming it with artificial light?
Yeah, I think like tomatoes and peppers and stuff get it all winter. Maybe not in the summer, but maybe. And then roses and stuff, I think they do. But yeah, food crops, I don't know. Not very many.
I don't think so. So, there's an additional cost to it. There is the lights, really. Greenhouse or indoor, it's just a fucking room. Right? Isn't it? It's just a room. So what? So you got lights in a room, fans and exhaust and intake and fucking watering and pots and all this other shit. But still, ain't that much. So it's tragic that legalization, they just want to become the fucking black market. Like they're just so want to be the black market. Right?
Or just be the market.
They took everything from the black market. They wouldn't have anything without it. They wouldn't know how to grow weed. They wouldn't have strains to grow. They wouldn't know any of the techniques. They wouldn't fucking have anything.
They wouldn't even want it legalized.
Yeah. So without the black market, they're fucked. Let alone not willing to compete with them whatsoever. You go, oh no, we're going to charge more for weed than you've ever seen before. And that, of course, is heaped on with taxes from the government. But in effect, at the end of the day, it still comes out of the cannabis consumer's pocket. You go, well, what? Why the fuck should I be taxed extra for this? And charged extra just because the Hells Angels used to charge this much? Is that the measure here?
And they give you crappy pot most of the time too, and you had to sell it. So it was like, seems like the same situation. Maybe they took over the legal cannabis. Maybe that's what Justin's buddies are,
Well, they're hooked up with the fucking organized crime for sure. In lots of provinces, you betcha. These people don't fucking roll over like that. They don't go, oh, you're legalizing cannabis, we're out of business. They go, no. They make a fucking trip to the guy's house. They say, you're gonna cut us in now. He
Now
says,
we're legal.
he says, okay. Right? I ran across this thing about how less than half of the people who have applied to be executives or fucking owners or whatever in the cannabis industry have been denied because of their background checks. More than half. Because of the government's fervent commitment to keep the organized crime out of cannabis.
That's weird.
Oh yeah, it's just fucking ludicrous. I guess they weren't vetting them too hard when, oh, what, Tweed and that other outfit were buying weed in the black market down here in Kelowna.
Yeah, where were they? They weren't watching that?
What about all the rest of them who have fucking fake stuff and built fake rooms and lied about shit? How come the organized crime is all around that? But they don't even investigate it. They're so worried about it, they won't. And I don't know. Let me see if I can't find what I was reading about that. Yeah, the John Conroy came up in the article here. He said the government has made this huge mistake of doing these security clearances to push out the existing industry to compete with them, even though they claim they're doing all this to legalize and to bring everybody in. And then he went on to say the government created a new industry that's failing instead of bringing in the existing industry. You have a police mentality that they've used in this process. They should transition a lot of the traditional craft growers instead of pushing them out. Liked what he said, you have a police mentality. And that's because, in my estimation, the fucking cops totally hijacked cannabis legalization. Made absolutely sure that it would be approached this way. Now, Conroy went on to say, he compared it to alcohol bootleggers at the end of Prohibition in Canada. He said Sam Bronfman was the biggest bootlegger on the West Coast, wasn't he? What did we do with Bronfmans and the Kennedys and the Seagrams? Did we squeeze them out? Absolutely not. We rolled them all in. It's about seeing an existing industry and regulating it, not trying to create a new one. And of course, he's absolutely right. Now, the government argued in a court during a recent security clearance appeal that, here it is, that the unique place of cannabis justifies giving it special scrutiny. The unique place of cannabis, they said, because cannabis production was a nascent industry for a product previously prohibited as a controlled drug. Government lawyers said even peripheral associations with crime were a serious concern when protecting the public. What the fuck?
That's craziness.
See how prohibition affects stuff? Because this was prohibited for all these years, we have to treat it differently now. not because of what it really is, but because it was under prohibition as a controlled drug. Bad controlled drug it was under prohibition, and now, right?
Now it's freed. They don't know what to do. They're like, it's running wild. It's growing like weeds everywhere.
It has a unique place. You go, well, who gives a fuck about its place? You put it in that place. It's not what cannabis is.
I got a place for it right in this paper.
I've got one of those places too. I'll place along with you.
Hey, we'll place that game.
So yeah, it's frightening how they use prohibition to twist and turn and keep the prohibition grinding against these poor little plants. Now, before we go on here, Anil has put up a box on my screen that is what? The chat. But alas, it's way too small to see. So the chat really has become a whisper.
We need like a binoculars.
Well, yeah, magnifying glass would be pretty good. But anyway, hello to anybody who is in that tiny little box. You're in a tiny box.
All the chatters. What's up in the tiny box?
Prohibition's fucking wrecking shit still with cannabis. In terms of the price, it's wrecked it. Now, in terms of who can play, as is wrecking it, you go, oh, well, you know, people close to cannabis.
Well, that's better.
But still, never a discussion about ending prohibition. Right? Yeah, and that's the solution to it all, as always, is to end prohibition. All the problems go away. All the fears are fucking gone. Doesn't matter what it is, end prohibition. No, there's a bigger chat. A little bigger. JX3 says, help, I live in a tiny box.
Must live in Toronto or New York. Downtown Vancouver.
Nice. Well, that's good to be able to see a little bigger. You see it bigger too, don't you, Cookie?
Yeah. I don't even need my glasses for that one. Well, maybe I do.
I need my glasses for everything. Except when the buds wakes me up in the morning with his face right at my face in bed, chirping away. Funny cats, I'll tell you, they wake me up like 6 o'clock every morning without fail. They know the fucking time somehow, and then they wait in their little positions to be fed.
Yeah, what do they got to eat so early for? They're just trying to get more meals in the day, probably. Like a weightlifter.
It's the amount of time between feedings, probably. Last time I was fed. You got to wake up now to feed me.
And fast.
So I don't know. It's disturbing and discouraging that the legal industry is not really considering the cannabis consumer in the mix whatsoever here, and doing their best not to fucking appeal to us in any way. And all the restrictions that they've signed up for don't really allow them to. And it's fucked. An industry created that isn't even allowed to appeal to me. It's fucked. Could be.
Yeah, I I can't imagine sitting in like an advertising meeting or something like that for one of these big companies. They're all like, so what can we do? They're like, well, not too much.
Well, they don't even have meetings. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, trying to figure shit out. So, I don't know. I read some financial page that talked about Aurora and Hexo companies in particular, and they're just predicting these people are toast, and that there's going to be a whole bunch more that are going to be toast because of the way they, I don't know, the way they fucking came at it. They just spent money like fucking crazy. These people who just super paid for shit. 250 million, yeah, you bet, no problem. Tokyo Smoke. What?
Yeah, it's like a joke of a company. It's like, come on now.
Well, both of them should be investigated, in particular whoever they gave the 250 million to. This overvaluation, that's fucking laundering, money laundering, for fuck's sakes. Straight up.
Hooking
Somehow.
up your friend for sure, you know. It has to be like the guy who signed that check over to them must have been like that one guy's buddy, you know. Now he's like, you can just live in my properties.
And nobody seems to give a shit that they spent money like that on everything that they bought. Just the sky was the limit for amount of money they would fucking spend on stuff. And you go, well, now they don't have any money. And the weed sales didn't fucking pan out to nothing. Right? So now they're all fucking backpedaling. And you go, wait a second, what about all the people who invested their money in this shit? Why are you still talking about investing money in them?
Yeah, it's like they're gonna get him for one last time. It's like that shitty grower that tells the boss there, well, this time's gonna be better. I know what I did wrong. Blah blah blah. Finally, the boss is like, "Get the fuck out of here, man! You're done. You grew 2 crops. They both sucked. You're fired." You're like,
well, they, before everybody realized that they weren't going to sell any weed, they coasted on that 2.0 presentation of now it's going to be cannabis beverages, right? And edibles. And they were going to fucking slam it there, and they didn't, right? So now the 3.0, I see the twittering about now it's potential U.S. market, if that's going to explode, and how much that's going to help them. You don't know. Same shit. The states they're doing way better than us, that's for sure. Like in reality, it's the price has dropped. I don't know the rules for any of the places there on who can be a producer or what, but it looks like it's been a lot easier and less restrictive for people to be involved. I don't know.
yeah, I think like anyone can be involved. You just have to, you know, go through the proper steps, and that's about it. You know, maybe have a little bit of money for whatever, you know, you're setting up and stuff. But other than that, I think it was not too bad. Yeah, like if the Canadian market, legal markets, weed tried to get sold in America, they wouldn't sell any of it because all the American weed is way better than any of the Canadian weed I've ever tried.
Well, there you go.
Like I
Oh
was
yeah,
super surprised. I was like, wow, that's good weed. Like right on. Like, yeah, it's more expensive. I have to buy it in a store, but you know, I was in Seattle. I wasn't gonna bring any weed, and I was like, shit, yeah, this weed's good. Like,
well, it's something I read today. I think somebody said they got a half ounce somewhere in Oregon, I believe it was, like $23.
see,
45, $50 ounce. And that's more like it, quite frankly. So that will happen here. It has to, you'd think, somehow, but Canadians are notorious for fucking keeping the prices where they want them to be kept and all this other bullshit. Right?
Maple syrup's a fine example of that.
So this price fix, I don't know, there must be some way out of it for us constitutionally. I don't know. Come on, what the fuck? So I don't know. I don't like this trend. This trending towards premium cannabis and pretending that it's something. 29% of what? 290 fucking milligrams per gram. How the fuck did you come up with that?
Kind of looks like they took the THC percentage and just said times a hundo.
Add a zero to it and fucking call it a day. Neither one of the numbers make any sense whatsoever. When I look at a cannabis plant, in nowhere in a million fucking years am I going to come up with a number like 29% of anything. It just doesn't come up. So it's the same bullshit right across the board with these THC percentages. They are so fucking meaningless and made up. But based on meaningless and made up, so that gives it some credibility. Oh, we've been doing it this badly for so long, right? Right, straight out of Prohibition. Another thing that's had a big influence on cannabis is THC percentages. Like there isn't even, see here, I see that 29%, and then I went and looked at some fucking keef that they were selling in the Ontario cannabis store. And it was 42%. You go, oh, interesting. What'd you do to make the keef? Other than remove only that which could ever test positive for THC and put it in a pile. How did it become stronger than the weed that it came from? Like, what happened? If the weed tested 29%, and all I've done is remove the leaf and stem and stalk that has no THC whatsoever, how could this possibly test 42? Where'd the extra THC come from? So, I probably said it too many times, but this would represent to me a measure, a percentage of the volume. Right? And certainly, hashish by volume is going to have more THC compared to that which was on what, fucking 99% fucking leaf? No, less 95% leaf. That bud, isn't it? Right? So how could the fucking bud ever test fucking 29% THC if it's already 95% fucking leaf? 29% of what? Like, no one's ever asked them to explain that. But
Or what the other 71% would be. What's that other bunch?
yeah, that's another thought I had too. Wonder what that is. So 29% of what? 42% THC in that pile of keef. 42% of what? Like, all I've done is fucking pluck heads off this plant and put it in a pile. How did it get? Still, the only thing that could test positive would be the heads in the pile. Same with the heads on the leaf. The only thing that could possibly test positive for this, and in the very same fucking experiment, it should test the same, shouldn't it? How could it test any different? 42%. It's nonsense. Same with extracts. How can they possibly test any different than the fucking weed that they came from? What have they done? What have they removed to increase the amount of THC? Or the
Well, they
percent?
did remove some of everything else, but yeah, still.
So in this test, I have no clue how they fucking do this, but they must remove stuff. They have to remove a whole bunch of other shit to get down to any potential of 29% or 10% or 2% or even fucking less. If you took a look inside a head of a trichome, it ain't even 29% THC inside there. That's all you got to work with. Science and botany shows us that. What? So, and now they've extrapolated that to say there's 290 milligrams of THC in that 1 gram. And nobody even questions it or asks why or what does this mean or how does it fucking work.
So in those terminologies, the edibles are selling with 2.5 milligrams in them. They're using like a fraction of a gram of weed in it, like a speck.
I don't know. The math just is not adding up. And across the board, they always give you a range of THC, 21 to 29%. And the equivalent of milligrams was 210 to 290. It was exactly the same as the THC percentage across the board on their page. No matter what they said, THC percentage, 10 times that was the milligram. With no explanation whatsoever of how they arrived at this conclusion. So they don't know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to this THC business. It was invented by Prohibition to give some frame of reference to cannabis as a potential danger. People didn't know, okay, well, it has potency, you know, like booze. That would be where that term actually came from, was alcohol, you know, has potency like alcohol, which it doesn't. But they've used that for forever, since the 70s, for fuck's sake. Of course, it was always increasing. It's always increasing. But the only time I ever talked to anybody about it was a professional tester, lab tester, black labs, I think. And when I said 23% of what, he had no answer. This is a professional who was testing the weed for the fucking legal marketplace. Had no idea 23% of what. And went so far as to phone his science guy. And he did not know either. Honest to God. And no one yet has been able to answer that question for me. It's just a made up fucking number somehow. Either the test is wrong or the interpretation of the test is wrong. And I say probably both. But potentially the interpretation of the test, because it's based on an interpretation of the test. I don't know. Like, it's just the amount of THC, quite frankly, is so fucking small that, and harmless. Who gives a fuck? It's harmless. So far, so harmless. except for that $100 bubble kush. Oh, it's so fucking baked off of that. It's got to be good. So it doesn't really fucking matter, right? I defy anybody to, in a blindfolded test, tell me the THC percentage of anything that I fucking am. I defy anybody to be able to do that. Tell me the difference between 17 and fucking 29. Tell me the fucking difference. Oh, this is good Bubba Kush.
This is the 29% stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, unless you had a hint. I could conclude that too by smoking it, but if you didn't know what it was, you go, which one? Nobody fucking know or even care. If it was all well-grown weed, it would really come down to what? Flavor? What do you like the flavor of most? They all smoke with a white ash. What's the fucking difference here? Unless one's markedly a sativa compared to the rest. Right? So, even in the midst of all that, quite frankly, it would be I who would say the sativa is the strongest weed here. Yet, it would probably test the lowest somehow. Sativas always test quite low. It's Bubba Kush that's 29. So the volume test is what it is by evidence of the hash testing higher. To concentrate it, it will test higher by volume than the 95% belief will. Right? So, but the volume test doesn't equate on cannabis because that pile that you just made only represents 3 to 5% of the plant. What? So do you mean 29% of 3 to 5%? Is that what you're talking about in terms of the possible percentage of THC here? It's the same fucking pile, isn't it? So just because you tested the weed when it was suspended still on the leaf, right? It's idiotic. And it's gotten way out of control. Taken as fucking verbatim truth without question. In fact, in Canada, it's been legislated to be on every package. Right? And that's what they do. Further, it's 290 milligrams. What? Sure affects me quite differently, this 1 gram of weed, than 290 milligrams of edible.
True, yeah. Way different. Especially at the doses they have here.
Even if I ate the bud, for God's sake. 200, I don't know how they even came close to that mathematical equation. It seems very suspicious to me. And I think it's been suspicious all along. If in fact anybody ever really tested cannabis to know exactly how much percentage of THC is on my plant, I don't know how you'd even fucking do that. But if they did, they'd find that the number was so low that it wouldn't scare me. I couldn't relate to it. I think they just moved the decimal point until they got to a number that did. Until they got to 10%. Right? Because that's what I first heard long ago. Those who harken back now say, well, used to say 6, used to be 2, used to, now it's so much stronger. It's Bubba Kush. So, silly nonsense. another thing, prohibition. So what? Everybody likes the weed they like, that's for sure. I like any weed, really. Today I have headband and that would be, I don't know, strawberry snow cone, they called it. I think just a local made up name. Yeah, it's fruity and kind of strawberry like. It could be any number of other things, but nice weed to smoke. I don't care as long as the weed's good. And that's all there is to it, really, is good weed, bad weed, as far as you can tell. If it burns good, if it tastes good, if it gets you high, uh, that's all you get, isn't it? Is there more to it than that?
Nope, that's all there is to it.
The measure of any good cannabis. So, what's the big fucking deal?
Yeah, it's not like I'm ever looking at the THC amount going like, oh, it's 25%. I don't really want that. I want the 28% or anything else is not good. More I look at the bud and how it tastes and smells. I don't care. You could tell me, oh, that bud's only fucking 12%. I'll be like, fuck, it smells awesome, looks awesome. I'm going to smoke it.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. Given that after that inspection that you would still want it. You go, yeah, let's smoke some of that. Or how many times has a friend fucking crushed a bud up that you never even saw? Put it in a joint and you smoked it. And you went, wow, what's that? Right?
It always ended up being Renee when I asked that every time.
Good one.
A strain I was
It's a
unfamiliar
hard
with.
one to place.
And I was unfamiliar with it, so and then I'd be like, "What is that, eh?" Renee or Warlock was another one from Sagamartha Seeds.
Warlock.
But yeah, it was.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there, and they're all good. So that's all I really care about. People say it's a sativa, and it looks like one. You go, yeah, let's try that. So what in the news too? Saw in Colorado, they are now allowing cannabis vending machines. Huh?
It's about time, I don't want to wait in a line. I just want to grab it like a Coke, Give me a bong and a thing of hash. I'm out.
Yeah. Here in British Columbia, they went way out of their way to make sure that that was not allowed, and a massive fucking fine for it too. I think like $1 million. I think it says.
I think $1 million or 2 million or some ridiculous thing.
You have a vending machine. It's insane. And hopefully they'll change that because their product is designed for that.
Oh, it's perfect for that, actually.
It's absolutely fucking perfect. Open a Fable. Like they have
Even better, a fucking Weibo.
Weedbo. Sure, just fucking little slots. You put your money in, open it up, fucking bang. Machine that turns your money into token. Token opens it up.
No, now they have tap, and you go up to the machine and say, it's in like G45 or whatever. G45, tap, bing, door flies open. Or like if you do like two things, both doors fly open. You're like,
of course it does. But
I was
yeah,
just like, this is amazing.
British Columbia has become pretty fucking lame when it comes to their rollout of legalization. This is 2 years on here, for fuck's sakes, isn't it?
Yeah, at least.
Like, really, they have accomplished nothing. They put way more effort into the safety unit, community safety unit, getting that off the ground before they offer the
Like,
consumer.
fuck those guys. Fucking safely get me some good ass weed at a fucking cheap price. Come on now, let's work at it here. We got a unit for it. The CSU, cheap cannabis unit.
Yeah. Well, I liked John Conroy's talking about coming at it from a police point of view.
Well, even the prohibition point of view, like back in the day with Seagrams and those guys. I worked for the Seagrams family in Muskoka at their cottage, and yeah, like, they're the young guy, I guess, whatever, I don't know what generation he was. He was like, a little older than us at the time, maybe like 25 years old. Still a young guy, and he was like, oh yeah, our great grandfather was a fucking big bootlegger and shit. And it was like, that's like the family tale, and they're sitting on this like private island that they own, and like it's the Seagram's booze family. I'm like, oh, what the fuck, really? Like, that's the way it's gonna be when legalization happens. But no.
So it just shows you how they don't want the prohibition part to end. When the government replies, well, because cannabis is prohibited. Right? You go, what do you mean because it was? Why would you choose to treat it differently than other things? But it's always about public safety, right? They always throw that tag line in there. That's part of the program. No matter what you say, you always say public safety.
And for the children.
Yeah. Don't say it's a threat to them. Just say it. Just say the word.
Or the children, yeah. I throw those sentences into my everyday conversations now. I'm just like, oh, blah blah blah, nice weather, the mail is gonna come at 8:00 today. Right on, cool, for the children.
Yes. Oh yeah, those sunny days. You're always going, hey, public safety today. It's right to be public safety going on because it's so sunny. No, it's gonna rain here now. Things just changed. Well, the other night there was a fucking massive lightning storm
Here too, and that was weird because it was right across Canada almost. So I think that's weird.
Yeah, I don't ever see lightning here in Vancouver. Doesn't got the lay of the land for it, but something happened.
Not
And
like that, yeah.
It went on and on and on for the longest fucking time. It was just off in the distance for me, flashes of light in the sky, but no thunder.
Huh.
None that I heard. Maybe if you were there, but wow.
Yeah, we had some thunder rolling hard. I was on the golf course with my father, and I didn't know that it's etiquette. If you see lightning, you got to get the fuck off, and or hear thunder. And I thought it was like a train, like the rolling in the background. He's like, "Oh, you hear that thunder?" I was like, "No, I just hear a train." He's like, "No, that's thunder, eh?" He's like, "It's okay." He's like, "It's far enough away." He's like, "But if we see lightning, you got to get off, eh?" I was like, "Oh, whatever, okay." Just close my eyes, No. And he hits the ball and a big fucking strike comes down. Not like comes down, but like in the air or whatever. And I was like, oh, I'd seen it. He's like, yeah, we gotta go.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was crazy.
Sitting duck with a metal rod in your hand.
Waving it up in the air too, I know.
Yeah. No, it was funny. Saw a lot of pictures of lightning from a better vantage point of it all, and it was quite spectacular for this part of the world. So what? Canada too, they're starting to chirp around the world about Canadian cannabis regulations, not allowing any importation of cannabis.
We got too much. We got too much.
Yet wanting to export to those very places and around the world, right? They're calling them out on it. So that's interesting. If we could, that's another thing that needs to be opened up is importation of cannabis for all marketplaces, medicinal and fucking recreational. Don't forget us recreational users in the mix. And CBD and whatever else. And that would change the face of cannabis in the world, I think, reasonably quickly. If you could import shit from Mexico and Colombia and different places around the world, if we can get it all relaxed like that, I think that would be certain.
That would be great. Yeah, places that can grow it properly outdoors, naturally. You know, here you go. Oh wow, the land race strain from the African jungle. Thank you very much. You know, like, oh wow, they're like, whoa, we get so much money for this. You're like, yes, thank you very much for growing this awesome marijuana.
Yeah.
Build a village.
It could easily change the face of the world. Not to be thinking too grandiose about it all, but it certainly could impact the world like that, particularly in those areas of the world where cannabis, really, really good cannabis could grow outdoor, really cheap, in the best conditions in the fucking planet. So it's not like you're growing outdoor in fucking British Columbia. You're growing it in Colombia, where this shit comes from, and the conditions.
Yeah, you're not growing it at 42 degrees latitude. You're growing it at 12 degrees latitude or whatever it is. You know, like.
So that's where it's really at in terms of fun. That's for sure. I'd way love to, see a trade in our popular strains grown in different regions in the world. And that become the.
I think Breeder Steve's doing a project like that in Colombia. He has a lot of strains from all over the world, and I think he's growing them there.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of testing going on to see what works and what doesn't, and this and that.
And that's cool as hell, you know? Like,
not legal to do so. It's, I don't know, Colombia's, they're all like fucking babies around the world creeping into this, creeping into cannabis. So afraid and worried, like how prohibition has really fucking taken a hold of the planet in terms of, or, these idiots they take the opportunity to show caution, because they nothing to lose here. Nobody ever gets hurt by cannabis, so it's not like people are dying. So politicians can fucking waffle forever, do all this shit because it never looks like anybody's getting hurt anyway. So whatever they're doing is working. Not whatever we're doing is working. Okay. They're all coming to realize what cannabis is here, except for the price. But that would drop drastically here over time, I would have to think, unless they put a fix on it, which they have kind of already. So, too much money in prohibition to let go of that. All right. Well, that was fun.
It was.
Thanks for joining me.
No problem. I got super baked.
Me too. Good to see you and the 2.3 there. Fucking, it's quiet.
You'll see us creeping in your local rivers nearby, just putting along.
Nice. Well, enjoy your days, and thanks to everybody who joined us today. I don't know. We're working on the chat. I can still see silver clouds there.
Talking about Karate Kid 3. Oh.
JX3. Cool. Well, thanks for playing along with us today, as always, and do join all the other shows here on Pot TV. A cannabis video network been going for 20 years, and so we'll fulfill all of your cannabis needs one way or another, you'd think. So check it all out daily here on Pot TV. Thanks to Anil for hooking it all up and keeping it all straight. Straight from under the influence? Don't think so. All right, well, until the next time we meet, stay safe, healthy, and happy. I'm Marijuana Man. Thanks for joining me. Peace. Bye.
Hi there, welcome to the 420 Lifestyle Show. I'm Carly Marley. She's taking a dab. Thanks.
We can play the Sycamoose video.
Oh yes, Sycamoose video. Let's play the Sycamoose video.
All right, welcome to the THC show with Neil, where we talk about the unpleasant truths of our system and our democracy here.
I help patients. I
know what you're saying.
I got rated for growing, and I'm staring at the cracks in the wall doing time, and I'm trying to figure out who I hurt. No victim, no crime.
And we look for avenues of hope and ways that we can change some things. As you can see, there's a lot of people, and there's a lot of care packs that we're handing out there. I am not a criminal.
Wow, look at this.
Right,
Hey, I got 420 for sure now. Got you.
And I'll be back next Tuesday for another episode of THC, Truth, Hope, and Change. Go about changing the world as best you can, and while you're doing it, just have as much fun as you can. Thank you.
Hello there, first-time viewers. Welcome to Pot TV. Welcome to Pot TV.
Let them go! 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 Let them go!
It is only now, once we've reached this point of critical mass, that I could really tell you the story, because that's the interactive nature of the internet.
Pot TV is an internet video-based site. We've had over 6 million shows watched. We get about 10,000 shows watched a day. Shows on growing marijuana, medical marijuana, politics of marijuana.
And at that time, most magazines or books revolving around marijuana were prohibited literature.
From cookbooks to grow books, books about the cannabis culture, mushroom books, even psychedelic books.
The mass injustice being done where millions of people in this country are being scapegoated, having their rights and their property and their leisure time and their privacy and their freedom of movement all stripped away from them.
And they pulled me off the line, and pushed me down and put me in handcuffs, and they locked me in the patio.
This is what it's all about. A little green plant. You, the taxpayers, are being asked to subsidize a war on a little green plant.
I know it's scary and difficult and frustrating, and politicians are a fraud. Try and change that and be a voice of truth.
For many, many years, decades, In 2001, Canada legalized marijuana for medical purposes.
Pot TV news flash breaking story, July 9th, 2003.
I became leader about 9 months ago.
You have how many locations and how long have you been serving the people of the community for?
Well, I started in 2004.
Because as long as you're not hurting anyone else, as long as you're not causing any harm, then why should you be dealing with police or prisons or agents of the government?
A former DEA agent and author of Powder Burns, Cocaine Contras and the Drug War.
In the media often, and the media reports uncritically all too often.
I saw this video and I was like, whoa, man, seems like there's something to this.
Join me weekdays on Pot TV.
We're going to be doing a new show here on Pot TV.
On Pot TV and Pot Your Bar combines poetry, music, art, video clips, and photographs with a variety of interesting guests who are involved in the medical cannabis movement.
It comes on air at 4:20.
Cannabis indica, or Indian hemp. It was tasted by the priests on sacrificial occasions.
I'm gonna stop and smoke a joint. Just figured I'd show you my surroundings here. Beautiful, beautiful little flowers everywhere.
Hemp and its many applications, how hemp can be made into paper and fuel and clothing and that.
Two different samples. Now these are the same cut, grown in the same room with two different soil mixes.
As a line diagram, okay, and this is a cross-section of a bract.
Now on some of these plants too, there's something called pre-flowers that form. Sometimes 8 to 12 weeks into the veg cycle, you can look 3 or 4 sets of branches down from the top. Hey, wait a second, I'm not even smoking joints. I'm talking.
We need real cannabis dispensaries. Many patients who use cannabis as a medicine need access. You're taking the medicine away from sick and dying people.
Let's overgrow the government. Let's have more marijuana than they can ever stop.
But while you sit here enjoying this, remember those who are in prison this moment, locked away from their loved ones, locked away from their friends, and that could be you.
Just want to say thanks for watching Pot TV. You can't get higher on the net.